have a few classes left, which is exciting. Now, the good news is that tonight and the next class, we're going to cover Math Class 4, Math Class 5. Those classes are the best. Our students like them the most out of all of the classes. The reason for that, because all of the questions will be a repetition. So there's only one formula, one question all the way through, just different numbers. So you might even get bored with me today, but you will like this class. So this is going to be a good one. We're going to cover two things today. We're going to cover an accelerated biweekly payments. Now, this is the question that all of you guys will have on the exam. All of you have one question on the exam on the accelerated biweekly payments. Now, what they will ask you for, we'll look at different options. And then all of you, of course, will have a lot of questions on, we call them PP questions. Okay, so we're going to learn how to do accelerated stuff, and we're going to learn about the PP questions. Okay, so let's start with the first portion, which is your accelerated payments. Okay, so now what is the accelerated payments? Now, think of it this way. When you get a mortgage from the bank, a lot of times the banks lets you to pay off your mortgage faster. So sometimes, it's not in this question, but just give you an example. Sometimes you go to the bank and the bank says, sure, we'll give you money, just an example, 25 years with a 5 years term. And if you want to pay off your mortgage faster on this term, we allow you to do, listen to this one, it's called a balloon payment. A balloon payment is something that my mortgage people will have to learn at some point. But balloon payments, it's a chunk of money that you're allowed to put it towards your mortgage, towards your principal, to reduce your principal amount, so you can pay off your mortgage faster. So that could be one of the options. You can do those balloon payments at any time of this term, anytime, right? As long as you get the money and whatever it says in your term agreements, that's what you do. Okay, so that's one of the options. That's not the one we're discussing today, so I'm going to take that thing off because it's not what we're going to be learning today. Today, we're going to be learning about the accelerated biweekly payments, so that's another way to pay off your mortgage faster. Now, the way that I like to explain it is to go through the question itself, and when we go through the question, then I'll show you how lenders let you pay off your mortgage faster by doing this option, okay? So we're going to go through question number one. So open your notes, guys. Let's go through this question number one. So we have a mortgage loan that has a face value of $350,000. So basically, you come to the lender says, sure, I'll give you a mortgage of $350,000, which is your PV. Then he says, we'll charge you an interest rate of J2 equals 5.5, so J2, 5.5, and amortization for 20 years, so we'll give you money for 20 years, and the term of 3 years. I'll put the term somewhere right here, okay? 3 years term. And then this is the option to make the accelerated biweekly payments. So this is going to be your keywords when you're going to do these questions on the exams. So when they're referring to that they give you that option to make the accelerated biweekly payments, that means the lender lets you pay off your mortgage faster, okay? What is the amount of the accelerated biweekly payments rounded up to the next higher dollar? So that's what we're looking for. This is the basic question. All they're asking you is to find the payment and show them how much it's going to come up to. So this is the key principle when it comes to accelerated biweekly payments. When we're looking for the frequency of the payments, okay, what we usually do, we look back at the question, so let's see what do we have in here. What type of, what's the frequency of the payments in here? And the thing that you always see is this word biweekly, right? And in your mind, you think of it as 2026, right? Which is right. But because it's an accelerated, so can you highlight that keyword again? So accelerated is what makes things different, okay? So what it means, that means your payment is still monthly, okay? You do the monthly payments, and at some point you accelerate that payment, okay? So for the exams, when you see the word an accelerated biweekly, it's not the same thing as a biweekly payment, okay? It's two different things. So when they say an accelerated, it means your payment frequency is still 12. So when you find your initial payment, then your payment frequency has to be still stays at 12 because it's a monthly payment. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to find the monthly payment first, right? Option one, we're going to find the monthly payment first. So what am I putting in here again? Is that going to be 26 or is that going to be 12? 12. We want monthly. So first you find the initial payments, which are the monthly payments, and then we'll take that payments and then we will accelerate it. I'll show you what to do with that, okay? So can you do the conversion? Let's do step number one. We're not happy, they're not matching. So that means you're going to be doing your NPEPM formula. By now, you should be really, really good with the NPEPMs. And I would prefer if you don't even write that anymore. So from now on, I want to make sure that it's on your papers. It's not, nothing is written down. Just write down the answer if you need to. But at this point, that part should be already eliminated. I'm still going to write it down for you. Okay? Let me know how much it comes up to. It should be nice and close to 5.5. Okay? Mine came up as 5.43, 8, blah, blah, blah. And that is a J12 because your PYR was 12. Okay? So far, are we happy? So far, our payments frequency is 12 and your J is 12. So far, we're doing okay. Okay, so cross off your IYR, PYR, but you understand that everything on this side right now will be monthly. Okay, so finish the N. If your PYR is 12, that means N has to be shifted. So you're going to do 20 years, shift N, and it will come up as 240 months. So do that right now. 240. No, 20, shift N, or 240 months. Okay, so 20 shift N is what I want you to enter in here. So that's good. Skip the IYR with the 350,000 into your present value. And then we're going to look for the payment. So step number one is always the same. We have to find the payment first. Okay, that's what we're going to do. And then your future value will be, we'll assume it's a 0 because you will be paid off by that time. Okay, so 0 plus minus future value. And I'll press the payment and tell me how much it comes up to. Mine came up to negative 2395.36. Okay, so this is what I got for my payment. So 2395.36. I'll wait. See if you get the same payment. When you get the payment, tell me this. Is this payment, is that a monthly payment? Is that a bi-weekly payment? Is that an annual payment? How do you know? Okay, PYR. So if your J was monthly, and if your payments were, one second, so payments, PYR in the end. So payments came up monthly too because your PYR was monthly, right? So everything is monthly so far. okay? So now you come to the bank, says, look, bank, so this is my payment, so what do now? I want to accelerate it. I want to make it faster. I want to pay off my mortgage. And I said, sure, if you want to accelerate it, let's do this, okay? We'll take this payment and we'll divide it in 2 parts. Okay, so step number 2, you take your payment, you divide it by 2, and that's how you accelerate your payment. So instead of making just one payment, you're going to make more payments. Okay, so take this payment. So step number 2, you take that payment and you divide it by 2, and see how much it comes up to. Okay, mine came up to 1,197.68. Right, so that's what I got for my payment. Okay, and when you get that payment, now that's the payment that they will be using to accelerate things. So instead of paying just once a month, now you're going to be doing it 26 times, not 24, 26 times bi-weekly, right? So you're going to take that payment and do it 26 times. And by doing that payment more often, of course, you're going to pay off your mortgage faster. Okay, so that's kind of what they're referring to. So always remember when they give you the word accelerated bi-weekly, payments frequency stays at 12 because it still has to be a monthly payment. You're going to find the monthly payment, then you're going to divide that monthly payment by 2 to get to that accelerated payment, and then you take that accelerated payment and do whatever they ask you to do after. So in this case, all they want is that payment to be increased to the next higher dollar. So that's what you do. So if I look at this payment, so it's $11.97. I forget about the pennies at this point, and I look at that 7, and I want to bump it up to the next higher dollar. So that's $11.98. So that's it. So that's what you're looking for. So the option number 3 is the answer, right? So increase it to 1198 plus minus BMT. Okay. So this is all they want you to do. So this is an easy question. It's not a complicated question. The only thing is to remember that payments are still monthly. You find the monthly payments, then you accelerate that payment. Okay. Basically, you make more of those payments a year. So let's do another question like this. Question number 2. A mortgage loan has a face value of $315,000. The interest rate of J2 equals 4, and amortization is 20 years in a term of 5, and an option to make the accelerated biweekly payments. So what is the amount of those accelerated biweekly payments rounded up to the next higher dollar? So it's pretty much the same question. I don't know if you guys noticed, in the other question we had a term of 3 years, in this question we have a term of 5 years. Do we use that term? Do we use it in the other option? No, because we only use the term to find an outstanding balance. So if they ask us in the question to find an outstanding balance with this accelerated payments, then we would do more steps. We would use this term. But because we're still in the initial step of to find the payment only, we don't even come close to that term thing. So a lot of times they will add a lot of extra information for you, and it's on purpose, try to confuse you, but you have to be smart. If you're just working on step number 1, step 1 is always the same. You find the payment first. And step 2 is when you do your nuggets and fries for the outstanding balance, okay? So here they want the same thing. They just want to find that accelerated biweekly payment, right? So that's your keyword. If you see the word accelerated, you know that the payments are still monthly, okay? And then you take that monthly payments, divide it by 2, and that's how you accelerate the payment. And then you make it biweekly, okay? So what are we going to do in here? Gonna pull up the same information that we had. So we have a mortgage of $315,000. That's your PV. We have G2 equals 4. We have a mortgage for 20 years amortization, so I'll do the shift and right away. 5 years, we're not going to use it. The option to make the accelerated bi-weekly payments. Now, just because it says bi-weekly, it doesn't mean it's 26. Payments still have to be. Payments have to be monthly, so you're going to put 12 in here, okay? And future value, we'll assume it's 0 because there's no information is given to you. Okay, first step, you always start with your initial box. So if you have this given to you, that's a lucky, that's a comfort zone, I call it. So do the unpapping. Try not to write it down anymore. From now on, you guys should be nice and fast on your calculator, so I expect that. So 4 to 12. Let's see how much it comes up to. Should be nice and closed. 4 shift norm, 2 shift PYR, shift effective. 12 shift PYR, shift norm. Mine came up to 3.967, blah, blah, blah. And that is a J, what is this again? That's a J12. Okay, so we got it as a J12. So far we happy? Yes, we are. Your payments frequency and your J's are matching. So that means your PYR right now is 12. Okay, so that's what's happening right now. So we're going to cross off the PYR. We're going to cross off your IYR because we know that 12 sits in here. We know that 3.96 right now sits in your IYR. Finish the N. N is going to be the years multiplied by PYR. PYR right now is 12. So if you do 20 shift N, do it right now, 20 shift N, it will come up to 240. Okay, so that's what the N is. Present value, 315,000. Plug it in. PV, and then 0 plus minus future value. Don't forget about that future value. What are we looking for? We're always looking for to find the payment first. So first we have to find the initial payment, and that payment will be your monthly payment. What do you get for the payment? Let me know. It should be negative. Mine came up as 1,903.37. Okay. So the rule is when we find the payments, we always increase it, and that's another question that my students always ask me for. Which one do we increase to the next higher dollar? The first payment or the accelerated payment? In this case, you find the payment first, divide it by 2, and whatever the accelerated payment comes up to, that's the one you bump it up, okay? Because we haven't finished the job with the payment yet. So if they were looking for the monthly payments, you would be done. But they're looking, what is the amount of the accelerated biweekly payment? So first we have to find this payment and accelerate it. So that means we have to divide it by 2, okay? Divide it by 2. So I'll take that payment, divide it by 2, and it comes up to how much? Negative 951.68. That's what I got. 951.68. What do they want with that payment? They want the payments to be increased to the next higher dollar. So that will be 952. Forget about the pennies, right? So it's all about the dollar amount now. So your payment comes up to 952. And that's it. That's your answer, right? So option number 1. How's it so far? I told you you're gonna like this class. This is supposed to be an easy question. The only thing is just to remember when they say that accelerated bi-weekly, it's not 26, it's still gonna be 12. Okay. Just because you like it, I'm gonna make it a bit more advanced now. Because sometimes if you're not that lucky, instead of looking just for the payments, they might ask you to find that outstanding balance. So to find a principal reduction, something I learned in our second class. Okay, so let's do this. What we're gonna do right now, we're gonna work on those ones, a bit more advanced questions, and see what happens. Okay, so we have a mortgage loan that has a face value of 370. So I'm just gonna pull up the information as we go. 370. We have the rate of G2 equals 5.5. Then we have the amortization for 20 years. That's your N, shift N. Okay, term is 3 years. The option to make the accelerated biweekly payments. So when you read through the questions, you see, okay, we have an accelerated biweekly payments. That means my payments frequency is still going to stay at 12. It's not changing. It's still going to be a monthly payment, initial one, rounded up to the next higher dollar. If this option is exercise, what's the outstanding balance owing at the end of the 3 years term? So now, because they're looking for the outstanding balance with the accelerated payments, so this is what we will be using that 3 years. Okay? So we'll have to use the term to find the outstanding balance. Now in this case, we have way more steps in here. So we're gonna go step by step just to make sure that you understand them well. Okay, so let's start with the foundational one. Whatever you do, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we always find the payment first. When we have multiple step solution questions, and we're gonna do that today, your step is always the same. You have to find the payment first, and then do something with that payment, and then move on to the next steps. So let's find the payment. Let's start with our comfort zone box, initial box. Okay, see if we're happy. Do we have to do conversion? Yes, we do. Convert it to J12. So do you and Pepin right now? Make me happy. Let me know how much it comes up to. Okay, so 5.5 shift nom, 2 shift PYR shift effective, 12 shift PYR shift nom, 5.43, is that what you got? 3.8, blah, blah, blah. And that is your J12, okay? So because that is a PYR 12, so you got it nice and close to 5.5, 5.438. Now what you do now, you're gonna cross off your IYR, PYR, okay? You're telling the calculator everything will be monthly, so when you press 20 shift N, do that right now, 20 shift N, it should come up to 240. Okay, so 240 months, that's good. IYR is done, so let's put present value, 370, 370, PV, and then future value. If you're looking for the payments, then you're gonna put that 0 into the future value too, 0 plus minus, future value, and then press the payment, tell me how much it comes up to. Your payment should come up to 25, I don't have any space here, 2532.24. Is that what you got? Okay, so 2532.24. So that's the payment I got. It's my negative. I haven't increased it, or I haven't done nothing with that payment yet. Okay, so because it's an accelerated, so you come to the bank and says, look, I want to pay off my mortgage faster. They said, sure, let's accelerate that payment of yours. Let's make it bi-weekly. Okay, so then what do? You take that payment, you divide it by 2. So you want to take that monthly payment, you want to divide it by 2. Okay, and when you divide it by 2, that's how you accelerate the payment. So we're on step number 2 right now, right? So accelerate the payment. So whatever you have on your screen right now, divided by 2, press equals, and it should come up to the negative 1266.12. 88 something, right? So that's my payment. That's what I got right now. 1266. Okay, I took that payment divided by 2, 1266. So that's an accelerated payment now. Okay, now they tell you that they want that payment to be rounded up to the next higher dollar. If they said nothing, what would you do with that payment? If they said nothing in the question, what would you do? You would take that payment and you would bump it up to the next higher cent every time you exception. So if I had nothing that was stated in the question about the payment, I would take that and I would bump it up to 13 cents. Okay, plus minus, and then that's how I would finish this accelerated payment. But in this case, we're going to increase it to the next higher dollar. Next higher dollar, yes, to 1267. So let's put that as a new payment in. Make sure that you plug it in back into the calculator. So right now, when you see that 1266, on top of it, press 1267, and then do plus minus PMT. So put it back in. So 1267 plus minus PMT. So put that payment back in. I want to make sure that that payment is inside of your calculators right now, right? That's what we want to see right now, okay? So this is an accelerated payment. So the bank said to you, we took your monthly payment, we divided by 2, we increased it even to the next higher dollar. So this is how much you're going to pay that payment 26 times per year, right? We want to make it bi-weekly, so 26, not 24. Bi-weekly is 26. Okay, so now what are you going to do now? If they were asking you for that payment, you would stop. Like we did in the other 2 questions, you would just say, okay, that's it, that's my answer. But because they're asking you, so what is that outstanding balance owing at the end of the year term? This is when you have to do extra steps. How do we find the outstanding balance? First, we find the payments. Then the second step, we do the timeline with nuggets and fries. Okay? We just take the term, we'll put that 3 years in here and just do the stuff. And that's it. But in this question, you have to think a bit more. Because what is this so far? This is a bi-weekly payment. So this is the payment they're going to be using 26 times. What is your frequency at this point right here? As your PYR, what's the actual frequency that you have in here? Okay? That payment was monthly. That means PYR at this point right now is 12, isn't it? Okay? This is why I mean by thinking. You have to think. So we have payments, PYR in the end. Everything right now is monthly. Okay? So if I'm going to put something into the end right now, so if I do 3 shift end, it will multiply this 3 by 12. And it will make me 36 months. And that's not what I want. I want bi-weekly. I have to put this payment in, which we just did. We just plugged that in. So instead of this 2532, you have this 1267 sitting in your payment now. So you have this new payment sitting in here, but we haven't changed this frequency yet. Why? Because your PYR and your one, it still is in months. So now you have to change the frequency before you do your nuggets and fries, before you do shift N and press future value, right? So before you get to your nuggets and fries, you have to change your PYR. You have to show the calculator that it will be a bi-weekly payment now, okay? That's what we want to show the calculator. So that's why you have convert to J26. The easy way, if you just have your previous NPEPN, doesn't matter which one, 12 or 2, it's the same one. It doesn't matter which one you're going to be using, right? If you want to come back to your NPEPN, sometimes my students like just to press shift effective. Okay, it will come back to 5.57. You can come back to here and then change your PYR to 26. Up to you. If you're comfortable, if you want to do this, you press shift effective and then do 26 shift PYR and then press shift null. But I'll just make it from the beginning so you don't get confused. Whatever the rate is given to you, just take that one as is and then convert it to 26. Okay, so I'll start it from the beginning. So I'll just pretend that is my new, I'm just converting that to 26. So I'll take it as is, what's given to me before. I'll press my effective and then instead of PYR 12, I'll put the 26 in there and see how much it comes up to. Okay, so 5.5 shift null. And then 2 shift PYR shift effective, 26 PYR, and then shift null. It came up to 543 again, but it's a bit different numbers in there. So it's 5.4313, whatever that is, right? So it's a bit different number. So you still have to do the conversion, right? You can't keep it at the old one. Because if you keep it at the old one, that PYR would be still 12 sitting in there. We have to change it. So as soon as we've done this, look what happened to your PYR. Now your PYR is 26, right? So it's no more 12. So I'm going to change that PYR right now on your left side to 26. Okay, so right now I have that as 26 because my PYR that I just changed it to, right, which was this one, not that one. Hold on a second. Okay, like that. All right, so my 26 conversion came up to 5.43, so that 5.43 right now sits in here right now, and that 26 right now sits in here, okay? So I've changed my PYR now. So now because it's changed, now I can do this side. I can do this step, okay? So how do I do this step now? As we always do, right? So how do you find the outstanding balance? You're just gonna do your nuggets and fries. So the term is the 3 years, so what do? You do 3 shift N, do that right now. Okay, so when you see that conversion of 5.43, keep it there, and then do 3 shift N, it will come up as 78. Now, what is this 78? Why is it 78? Because it multiplies now 3 by 26. Okay, so you're showing the calculator that everything now is bi-weekly. When you do 3 shift N, it multiplies it, so 78 weeks, basically. Then you press your future value to see what's the outstanding balance, and the outstanding balance comes out to negative 328,192, right? So that's what you're supposed to get right now. So negative 392, which is the option number 3. Okay, that's the one. So if they were looking to find an outstanding balance, step 1, you find the payment, okay? Then you take that payment, divide it by 2, get your accelerated payment. Then after you find the payments, and round up, of course, right? After you find the payments, then what you do, then you need to make sure that your PYR is converted to 26. Why? Because when we do this 3 shift N, we want to make sure it multiplies by 26 because it's a bi-weekly payment, okay? That one extra step in here. And then you go back to your nuggets and fries. That's it. But if I was looking to find a principal reduction, you remember what principal reduction is? How much you can pay off in those 3 years. So if I had a line in there and that says how much is the outstanding balance, is how much you still owe them after 3 years. But if I ask you how much your principal get reduced by, and it's how much you paid in those 3 years, how much you already paid off towards your mortgage and principal, right? So how do you find this? It's your outstanding balance, which is that, it's the outstanding balance, which is 328, and you're gonna minus it out of your present value, out of your mortgage. Okay? So mortgage minus the outstanding balance, that gives you that 41,000. So this is just an extra step. This is not how to find the outstanding balance. This is how to find the principal reduction. So if they were looking for step number 6, and this is, so what is the principal reduction? You would just take that 370, you would minus the outstanding balance out of it, and it will show you that you paid them in 3 years 41,807. Okay, that's just an example in there for you. Okay, let's continue. Let's do the next one. One more. Don't hate me. Okay, question number 4. Let's see what we have in here. Okay, so question number 4. A mortgage loan has a face value of 250,000, an interest rate of G2 equals 3.5, an amortization period of 20 years, the term of 3 years. Oh my gosh, so much information. And the option to make, and that's exactly what you're looking for in the exam, an accelerated bi-weekly payment. So when you see the word accelerated, you know what they're referring to. Okay, round up to the next high dollar. And what are they looking for? What is the outstanding balance? So again, they want the same thing. They want an outstanding balance in this question. We'll find the outstanding balance and we will find the principal reduction, just in case. Okay, so step number 1, the rule is, even if they're looking for the bi-weekly, payments frequency is 12. Okay, so let's put that 12 in there. Mortgage is 250,000, so 250,000 is the mortgage. Rate is G2 equals 3.5. Sorry, 3.5. And then we have 20 years amortization, and then we have a 3 years term, which we're going to put it right here at the bottom. Okay, so far so good. Let's find the payment first. So future value, I'll put it as a 0 for now. Okay, so do the NPEPN first. Okay, do your conversion. Start with your comfort zone. Okay, should be nice and close to 3.5. Tell me how much it comes up to. So 3.5 shift norm, 2 shift PYR shift effective, 12 shift PYR shift norm, 3.47. Is that what you got? I hope so. So 3.5 to 12. Mine came up to 3.4747. Okay. So we've done the NPEPNs here, right? So we've done the conversion. So after you finish this one, you know that your PYR right now is at 12. So I'll just put 12 in there just so you can see that, but I will cross it off because we know we won't have to put them in anymore. Okay. So those 2 things already finished. So that's perfect. Okay. Let's continue. We're going to do 20 shift N. Why do we do shift? Because it's in years and we want to multiply to make it in months. It should come up to 240. So after you finish the NPEPN, go from the top and do 20 shift N. It will come up as 240 months, 250,000, PV, 0 plus minus future value, and then we're going to find the payment first. Okay, so that's step number 1, we're going to find the payment. How much the payment came up to? What did you get? Mine came up as a negative 144665. That's what I got. 144. So 1,446.65. Okay. So if you come to the bank, says bank, I want to accelerate my payments. What would they do with that payment? They will take that payment, they will divide it by 2. So they'll take that payment divided by 2, and that will give them what? That will give them the accelerated payment that they can make you do 26 times. Okay. So how much does that come up to? Divided by 2, press equals. Mine came up to the negative 723.32. Okay. So that's my payment so far. What is this again? That's your payment. That is accelerated. But what are they looking for? They want it to be increased to the next higher dollar again. So increase it. So what's the next higher dollar from here? 724. So let's put that as a new payment, but make sure that you don't just put it on the paper. Make sure that you override it with the old payment. So when you see that 723 on your screen, change it up to 724. So do that on top of your screen. Do 724 plus minus, and then press BMT. So 724 plus minus BMT. Okay. So put that payment in. Make sure it stays inside of it. So that's our accelerated payment that they want from us. 724. Okay. So after we change the payment and we plug it back in here, what just happened? We took that payment, we override it with the old payment, but the PYR still as 12. And that's not okay because this payment should be done 26 times because it's a bi-weekly one, 26. So what are you going to do with this PYR? You have to change it to 26. How do you change it? The easy way to change it, if you just do the MPEPM again, you can do half of the MPEPM, press shift effective, and then do 26. So basically what you can do, okay, just 1 second. So you can do shift effective and then press 26, shift PYR, and then press shift nom, and that's it. So you can do only half of the MPEPM, but if you don't like that, you can do the full thing. So you can do 3.5, shift nom, then you can do 2 shift PYR, shift effective, and then press 26, shift PYR, shift nom. Let me know how much you got. Did you get 3.47 again? But mine is 3.47204. Okay, so even those slight changes will change a lot of things on your screen. Okay, so you've done the conversion. Now you know your PYR is not 12, your PYR is 26. Right, so we have to change. You don't have to change it, but it's already changed on your calculator by itself. Right? So PYR right now is 26. So we did so far. So as soon as you change your PYR to 26, now this is when you can come back and do, okay, let's do that nuggets and fries. Let's do that outstanding balance now. The term is for 3 years. So what are you going to do? You're going to do 3 shift N. It's going to come up to 78 bi-weekly, right? So weeks, basically. Right? So it multiplies 3 by 26. That's why it's 78. Press future value. So let me do that. 3 shift N 78. Press future value. Mine came up to the same number. So negative 217. I'll just make it bigger for you. Negative 217,949.46 something, right? So is that what you got to? So if they were looking for the outstanding balance, you would be completely done. Okay, so that's it. That would be the answer in here. You would look back at the answer and says, okay, option 4 is the one that I'm looking for. Okay, but if they were looking to find a principal reduction, then what would you do? Well, you have this number on top of your screen, that negative 217,000. You look back and see, so what was my present value in the question? How much was that? And it was 250,000. So it's your job to take that difference between those two numbers and see how much did I pay it off already. So while I have this one, you just do plus 250,000, press equals, and mine came up to, it came up to this number, 32,057. So that's the one that's the principal reduction. Okay. The only thing is, that's a mistake. It should have been minus 217,949. Okay. So 70,000 minus 217,000, right? And that gives you this. Okay. That's only if they ask you to find the principal reduction. If they ask you for the outstanding balance, then you forget about this last step. Okay. How's it so far? Can you handle the accelerated biweekly payments? I hope you can. It's not too bad. Most of you guys will have the simple one when they will ask you just to find the payment. Sometimes people come back and says, yes, I had to find principal reduction, or yes, I had to find an outstanding balance. But I'm sure you can handle them all, okay? You're going to be trained so well. You are trained so well. Okay, so we've done with first part of your math. So we finished the accelerated biweekly payment stuff. Now this is the rest of the class. All we're going to do is work with one formula. And we're going to work with these questions. We call them the bonus mortgages, okay? And the formula that we're going to be using is called the PPI formula, P-I-P-I. I had a student come back to class and says, I have a problem with my PP. Okay, PP formula. We call them on purpose that way, right? P-I-P-I, because it's easy to remember. So what is this PP formula and what is this bonus mortgages? I don't know if you guys know, but when you go to the bank, a lot of times they will talk to you in their language. And we've done so many questions so far. And I don't know if you question me ever, or have you ever looked at the question and said, why does it say a face value of a mortgage? Why do they say those words? Why can't they just say a mortgage off? Okay? Because the face value of a mortgage means a completely different thing. And this is exactly what we're going to learn today. So next time when you go in front of the lender and they talk to you with their fancy words, you'll know exactly what they do to you because they cannot trick you now. Okay? A lot of times the lenders, what they like to do, they like to add their fees inside of your mortgage. It could be appraisal fees, it could be bank fees, it could be all different fees they like to feed you up with. And they like to add it to the amount of your mortgage. And this is what we call the face value of a mortgage. So basically, a face value of a mortgage includes all their fees, their broker fee, the appraisal fee, the shoe fees, the travel, I don't know what fees they put in there, but about all the fees inside of it. So that's what the face value is. Okay? Now you're catching that. So for the exams, how do you recognize those two questions? There's two things that you're going to be looking for in those type of questions. One of them is called the cost of funds advance to the borrower and the yield to the lender. whatever they ask you for, it doesn't really matter. It means the exact same thing. They're just looking at two perspectives. This is they're looking at the buyer side, the borrower side, and that's the side they're looking at the lender side. But the question is exactly the same. Okay? So if you were the borrower, what's your cost of funds? How much is going to cost you to have those fees inside of your mortgage? If you were the lender, how much money, how happy are you then to add those, what's your yield? What's your percentage you're going to make from this mortgage, basically, right? So how they're looking at it doesn't matter. The question stays exact same. The formula stays exactly the same too. And that's why we like that question. Okay. We have a cheat sheet for you here. Okay. We do have all those steps in there for you. You can use it. Come back to this and look through this. I would like to explain them to you through the questions itself. So when we do the questions, then I go through those steps with you. So it's visual. So you don't just listen to me, but you do the work on top of it. Now, how do you recognize those questions? This is your keyword. So if they say, what is the cost of funds advanced? Or if they say, what's the yield to the lender? That's indication of a PP question, okay? The other keywords that you're going to be looking for is anything to do with commissions and the fees inside of the mortgages. So when you look at the question, they say, oh yeah, this is the face value of a mortgage, and here's the broker fees, here's the appraisal fee. There's a lot of different fees in the question. And that's definitely going to be a red flag for you because that's going to be your keywords indication and says, okay, so I'm looking at the PP question now because they're referring to all those fees, okay? So this is why we like those questions. It's easy to recognize them. They're not difficult, and there's only one formula for all of the questions, which is amazing, okay? So yes, you'll have a lot of those fees inside of the questions, right? And they will use the terms like face value and the net value. So I'm going to explain you as we go through the questions. Okay, so this is just a cheat sheet. You'll use it probably, maybe not, we'll see. Okay, so I'm going to explain you those questions through the reading the question, because to me, that's how I explain things better. So we have a mortgage loan with a face value of 150. So just by talking like this, when somebody, if you come to the bank and says, bank, can I have money? They say, sure, we'll give you a face value of 150. What does that mean to you? That means, did they put their fees inside of your mortgage? Yes, they did. So they put all those fees inside of your mortgage and say, take it. But then he says, well, wait. So let me just draw you something, okay? So the face value is 150. But then it says, but wait. But if I minus all those fees, we have 4,000, 450, we have 700. If I minus all those fees, okay, what's my net value? What's my mortgage, my net mortgage without any fees in there? Do you see the difference? So when they're referring, so we call it the cost of funds advanced. I'm left-handed, it's very hard for me to write on this stuff. So when they're referring to cost of funds advanced, they're referring how much is my money without any fees, basically. How much is my clean money, okay? So when I say the face value, you think, okay, that's everything included. They put all the fees inside. Then they charge you fees, they put it inside of it. But if I minus the fees, I want to see what's my cost of funds. So how much did I get from the bank without all those fees, okay? Is that making sense to you? But I have a question for you. So when you come to the bank and they tell you that that's your mortgage, do you think they're going to charge you your payment on what amount? What do you think is going to be your present value in this question? Would that be a face value that includes all the fees? Would that be a cost of funds advance without the fees? What are they charging you payment on? Of course, they're going to charge you payment on your face value. And every time you see the face value, you're going to put it as your PV. Lenders are smart. They know that they will charge you a large amount of payments and a higher rate, okay? Because by giving you money with fees included, even though they can promise you, oh, sure, we'll give you a rate of, what do they promise you in this question? They promise you a rate of 6.75. Watch it. By the time we finish with the question, when the borrower finds out that he only got this much money from the bank, he will pay more or less of the rate. What do you think? Is he going to pay the bank higher rate, actually? Yes, he will. Why? Because he's getting way less money than he was supposed to, right? So basically, they were charged the 6.75 on 150, but if you realize how much the actual amount of money he borrowed without the fees, then of course the borrower will pay a higher rate on his money. So when they refer to cost of funds advance, they refer to what's the actual rate to the borrower? How much is he actually paying to the bank? It's crazy what they do. So this is what we're going to do right now. We're going to try to find that rate to the borrower, the actual amount, okay? And you will see that a lot of times it will be way higher than what the lender promised them, okay? So let's go through this question. So as we go through the question, you're going to tell me where to put the stuff in. So because we have a face value of 150, where do you put that in? That's your present value, right? So that's your mortgage. Now you understand what face value is, which is good, okay? Commission of 4,000, appraisal fees of 450, all those fees, that's indication of your, or the commission, right? That's indication of your PP formula, PI formula, okay? We'll talk about that in a minute. Then we have calculate the cost of funds advanced to the borrower, expressed as an effective annual interest rate. So what are they looking for? When you find the rate, they want you to convert it to J what? What's the effective stands for? Convert it to J1, right? So that's what you're going to do at the end. Okay, if the loan is written at 6.75% per annum compounded semi-annually, so the bank said we'll give you 250,000, we'll give you 6.75 compounded semi-annually, and we'll charge that on this. So we promise you to give you that rate. But at the end, you know what happens. If you minus all the fees out of here, then you'll realize that your rate is actually way higher than 6.75. Okay, that's the fact, and that's what we're going to do right now. Monthly payments over 20 years. So payments frequency is 12, N is 20 years, shift N, and the term is 5 years. Okay. Term will go into the step number 2. Step 1 is always the same. When we do any questions, you're going to follow your steps. Okay, your steps are always the same. Every time we were looking for outstanding balance, what were your steps? You would find the payment, then you would do your nuggets and fries. Every time you would look for the principal reduction, you would do the same thing. You find the payments, then you do your nuggets and fries. When it comes to PP question, if you look at the first 2 steps in here, okay, PI, first P is your payment. So find the payment, and this I is your timeline. I know people say, but why is it I? It's just a line, right? The formula sounds better when it's a PP formula. Okay, so we're referring that to the timeline. Okay, so step one is to find your payment. Step number two, you're going to do your term. So step two is where you're going to put that 5 years in. Okay, the term is 5 years. So I'll put the 5 straight up in here. So it's sitting and waiting for me. Okay. So let's find the payment first, because that is the step number one. Okay, we're going to find the payment first. So what are you going to do? You're going to start with your initial box. Okay, you're going to start with your comfort zone. So you're going to do the payment first. Try not to write it down anymore. Just get me to the rate. Okay, to 12. Let's see how much it comes up to. See if we match. 6.75 shift nom. 2 shift PYR shift effective. 12 shift PYR shift nom. Okay, 6.67. No, 6.65. 9. Okay, that is the J12. Did you get this one? Why is it J12? Because PYR is 12. Okay, so 6.659. 6.6569. Sorry, 69. Okay, like that. So you got the untapping done. So that's perfect. What do? You're going to cross off your IYR and your PYR. Why are we crossing them off? Because we have that information sitting in there. So that's 6.6569 sits in here, and then that 12 sits in your PYR at this point. So you know, if my PYR is monthly, payment will come up as monthly. My N also going to be in months. So let's finish it. So if we're looking for the payments, future value is not given to you, you will assume it's a regular mortgage, and it will be paid off. So let's do 20 shift N. Will come up as 240. Okay. Present value, 150,000, 150,000 PV. 0 plus minus future value. Let's push the payment and see how much it comes up to. Mine come up to the negative 1132.26. Okay, is that what you got? So 1132.26. What do they want us to do with the payments? Let's see what they say in the question in there. They say with the monthly payments over 20 years amortization. So I don't see nothing about the payments in here. So my question, if I have multiple steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, we have 4 steps today. Okay, what do I do now? Do I increase that payment to anything, or do I keep it as is? The rule is that you always have to bump up your payment to the next highest end every single time, no exception. Even if they say absolutely nothing, it's your job says, okay, if it's 26, I'll bump it up to the 27. So on top of your screen right now, change that payment to the next highest end. So instead of the 26, increase it back to the 27. So overwrite it and put that payment in. So 1132.27 plus minus PMT. So that should be your step number 1, okay? Step 1. So when you put that new payment in, that's when you can move on to the next step. Okay, so you increase the payments to the next highest end. So let's continue. So what do we do now? Okay, so step number 2 haven't changed. It's still going to be exactly the same as we always do. So we're going to find the nuggets and fries. We're going to find an outstanding balance after 5 years term. Okay, so every time when you look at the question, if the term is given to you and you have multiple steps, okay, then you definitely have to do it. So this step, this I is your timeline. So what we're going to do, we're going to do 5 shift N. And when you do 5 shift N, what happens? It multiplies 5 by 12 by your PYR. So it comes up as 16. Is that what you got? Then you press the future value, and it should come up as a negative number, right? It has to come up as a negative number. And what did you get as the future value? Negative 128,701.36, okay? So this is my outstanding balance. So this is what I got so far by pressing the future value. How do you know if you've done a good job so far? What are you checking for? Future value better come up as a negative, and it should come up more or less than the PV. It should come up less than that, because after 5 years, hopefully you paid off some of your mortgage, so now you owe them less. So check on this. If your future value comes up positive, or if it comes up more than present value, that means you did not put a negative sign into your payment, or something is wrong with the payment. So you will have to come back to that step, okay? So step 1, you found the payment. Step 2 is your I, which is your timeline, okay? You do your nuggets and fries if it's given to you. If you don't have any term, you skip it, okay? But in this case, it's given to us. Step number 3, now this is something new. This is something you haven't done before, but in step number 3, it says PV. So PI, P is for PV, present value. So this is where you put yourself in the borrower's shoes and says, okay, so I borrowed the 150, okay, my payment comes up to this. I still have an outstanding balance of this much, but if I have to minus all of those fees out of my face value, how much is my cost of funds advanced to me without the fees? You see what he's looking for? In those questions, we're just trying to find out how much will he pay the rate on his net value, on his cost of funds advanced, they call it, right? Okay, so what are you doing here? A lot of times they'll help you and they'll give you that number without doing calculation, but in this case, we do have to manually calculate stuff. So I'll put it right here. So we do, our mortgage is 150, so I'll just write it down here. Okay, 150,000. Then we have all the fees. You have to minus everything that's given to you. Commission is 4,000, so minus the 4,000. Next one, what else do we have in there? Okay, we have appraisal fee of 450. What else do we have? Then we have the legal fees, total of 700. So you see how many fees we have in there? So the easier way for you to do that is, by the way, just because you're gonna do plus minus stuff, is not gonna change your buttons. So just don't press anything in here, okay? So just do your math in here. So you do 150,000, so just press 150,000, and you minus, and then do all those things. Minus 4,000, minus 450, and then minus the 700. Perfect. So mine came up to 144,850, okay? So what is this again? What is this 144,850? What is all this stuff? This is your clean money, I call it, right? Money without the fees. That's a cost of funds advanced to the borrower, right? So that's how much you got. So what is this? Your job is when you get this number, you have to put that as a new present value, because we're trying to find his yield. We're trying to find his percentage on his money without the fees. So what you're going to do while you have this 440,850 on your screen, just press PV right now. Press PV. When you press PV, that means you just overrode the old PV. You took that one off and you put the new one in. If you just kept it on your screen without pushing PV, it's not in there. Okay, so your job is to make sure that you change that present value. So I'll put here 144,850 PV. So make sure that you press PV. Okay, so we change the PV, then what are we looking for? We're looking to see, so what is his rate on his money? How much is he paying on his money? So what are we doing in there? Okay, you remember what the bank promised you? They promised you 6.75. You got way less money, so guess what happens? You pay more or less. What do you think? How do you know? Press your IYR. Just press IYR. And when you press IYR, it will come up as 7.5374. Is that what you got? Okay, so what's this? That is a J what? My question to you is always the same. How do you know? Look back at your PYR. PYR was monthly, so that is also J12 equals 7.5374. Okay, is that what they want? They say, what's the cost of funds to the borrower expressed as an effective annual interest rate? You see that? An effective annual interest rate. So they want this to be in J1. So how do we convert to J1? What do we do? We press shift effective. Shift effective, right? So your orange shift and then effective EFF under your PV. And when you press it, instead of 7.53, you got it as a 7.78033 something, right? So that's what you got. And what is this 7.830? What is this? That is your J1. Effective is your J1. So this is your J1 equals 7.81. So what they're trying to tell you is this. The lender said that, oh yeah, we're charging you only 6.75, but in reality, you're paying them 7.80. Do you see what I mean? This is what happens when they give you a face value. You're paying a way higher rate on your money than you think you are. Okay? So the answer should be option number 1. It was a lot of explanation for one question. It sounds like it's a lot of steps, but trust me, because we're going to do the same question over and over and over again, you're going to be so bored with that, and you're going to be so fast. Okay, so let's do the second question. Let's see how fast you can do this. Okay. We have a mortgage broker who is getting you a partially amortized mortgage loan with a face value of $350,000. So my question, that 350, what is that? That's your PV. If it's a face value, does it include all the fees inside of it? Yes, it does. Loan contract to be written at 6% per annum compounded monthly. So the bank said we'll give you J12 equals 6%. Okay. The repayment of the loan is to take place within monthly payments over the amortization of 15 years in the 5 years term. So we have the term. So if I have a term, I'll put it straight up in my step number 2 so I don't forget it. There's a 5 years term in there. It's for 15 years, so that's my N. I'll do the shift right next to that because I know it has to be multiplied. Okay, and then the same monthly payments, the payments will be 12. So as I go through the question, I'll pull up all my information. The borrower is to receive $336,000 as a result of all of the commissions of $10,000, the survey fee, and appraisal fee. Do you see all those fees in there? Okay, and legal fees. Oh my gosh, all of which are to be deducted from the face value. Calculate the cost of funds advanced. That's your keyword. So there's a lot of keywords in this question. Okay, there's lots of fees in here. There's a lot of commission stuff in here. Expressed as an effective annual interest rate. So they're looking again for the J1. So when you find your IYR, when you find your percentage, then you have to make sure that you press shift effective to convert it to J1. Okay. So let's start with one step. Is that enough keywords for you to know that is a PP questions? PIPI, right? So PP stands for 4 steps. Find the payments, do the timeline, press your present value, and then press your IYR key again. Okay. So this is what the PIPI stands for. I don't know if you caught on that. So we're going to do those 4 steps right now. 4.5. Find the payment first. So we're going to find the payment. That's going to be our initial step. Okay, what do we do when we find the payments? We start with our comfort zone. We start with the initial box. It is happy face, so it's up to you if you want to just plug it in, or by now, most of you guys would prefer to do the Impeppins part, right? Because it's so easy now, you like it now. So I wouldn't mind if you just do the Impeppins for all of the questions now, and the rate will not change, it will stay at 6. Right, so that's what's going to happen right now. So you can just plug it in right now, and when you do the conversion, that 6 should not change, and that 12 right now sits in your PYR. Right? So that's what's happening right now, and that 6 right now sits in your IYR. So after you finish the Impeppin, okay, or if you want to do it manually, up to you. Make sure you don't forget about PYR. Cross off IYR, PYR. Let's put all the information in. We're looking for the payment, so don't skip your future value. Future value is not given to you, so you will put 0 plus minus. Good job. Okay, so let's plug them all in and see how much it comes up to. So 15 shift N will come up as 180. Skip the IYR. Present value is 350,000. PV 0 plus minus future value. Let's push the payment and see how much it comes up to. Mine came up to negative 2953.49. Okay, so is that what you got? So 2953.49. So 2,953.49. Let's look back at the question and see what do they want us to do with the payment in here. All it says with the monthly payments over the amortization period of 15 years. So nothing has been mentioned about the payment. So what is your job? You still have to take that payment of yours and bump it up to the next higher cent. So it's 49, you're going to increase it to 50. Right? So on top of your screen, right, on top of everything, you're going to put that new payment in. You're going to put the 2953.50 plus minus PMC. Okay? So this is how you finish the step number 1. 2953.50 plus minus PMC. Okay, so I plugged that in. Your screen should be right now negative 2953.50. Right? Lots of bunch of zeros came up. So after you finish step 1, only then you go for step number 2. What are we doing step number 2? Okay, they're looking for the cost of funds advance. So that means if we have a term that's given to us, we still have to do an outstanding balance, right? With the information that we have. So 5 years term, then what do? You do 5. You do 5 shift, and it will come up as 60 months. You press the future value, and it should come up as a negative number. So 5 shift N comes up as 60. Press future value, comes up as a negative 266,031.76. Okay, that should be your outstanding balance. How do you double check on yourself? Because I'm not going to go with you on the exam. So if it's negative, that's good. But if it's also lower than the PV, that means you're doing good. Okay. So far we've done the 2 steps. Step number 3. So what are we looking for? We're looking for the cost of funds advanced. That means we're working on our PIPI formula. What is this PV? What are we looking for? We say, look, because it's a face value of 350, I want to know how much is my clean money. How much is my money net value without the fees inside? And in the previous question, we had to do all the manual math. And in this question, they were nicer to you. And this is, or the borrower is to receive 336,000 as a result of all those fees. So they help you out. So they minus all those fees out of your face value. I would trust that number. I always do, because otherwise, you can take all those fees and just minus it yourself out of the PV. It's still going to come up to the same number. But I'll use that because it's given to me. They said, if I minus all the fees, he's only going to receive 336,000. So what I'm going to do with that 336, I'm going to put it as a new PV. So 336,000. And then you want to make sure that you press PV in there, make sure that you plug it into the present value, okay? So 336,000 PV, okay? It's the present value. You don't put in anything else. So what just happened? You overrode the old PV, right, which is the face value with the net PV without the fees. And now what are we looking for? The whole idea of this question is, if you look back at all of the answers, they're all going to be in the percentages in here. Do you see that? All of them. Why? Because we're looking for his interest rate. What is the actual rate he's paying? Not what they promise him, but what the reality is. So the bank says we're charging you 6%, but look what happens now. He got less money. So because he got less money, that means his rate is actually higher than what they promised him. So what do? You press your IYR. Press the IYR and says, okay, borrower, you pay into the bank not 6%, but at this point you're paying them 7.06357. Okay? So 7%, 706. Now what's this? That is a J12, right? PYR was 12. So that is a J12 equals 7.06. Don't question yourself too much. Just convert it to what they want at the end. So if they want an effective rate, then what do you do with this J12? Then you press shift effective. Right? So you press shift effective. And the reason you do the effective because they want J1 in the question, they want an effective. And when you press shift effective, okay, it comes up to 7.2968, blah, 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 right? So this is your J1. Effective is your J1. Okay, so the answer should be option number 1 in there. Did you get that? So this is a very, very good question. So you might not like them yet, but let's do more practice. By the time this class is finished, you would prefer to have more PP questions on the exam. I'll give you a little heads up. They do like PPs a lot. Okay, because UBC explanation on PPs are horrible, and most people don't get these questions, but you guys gonna love them, and you're gonna have quite a bit of PPs. So they usually like to be very heavy on this class and the next class that's coming up. We call them pimps. So PPs and pimps, guys, that's majority of your math. Okay, let's do more. Question 7. A loan contract was written at a face value of 50,000. J2 equals 3.75 with 20 years amortization and a 5 years term. Payments to be made monthly in the amount of 499.76, and the outstanding balance at the end of the term is 45,167.50. Mortgage fees 2,000 was deducted from the face value, so the funds actually advanced to the borrower was 48,000. So what is the effective annual rate of interest that is on the funds advanced? Funds advanced. How do you know if it's a PP question? This question has a lot of extra information on purpose, and it's not to help you out, it's to confuse you, okay? So you have to be smart enough and pull up enough correct information not to get confused by UBC stuff. So how do you know if it's a PP question? You look at it, and I'm sure you already found a couple of keywords. Anything to do with fees. When you see there's fees in the question, right? Or if they say cost of funds advanced, they just say what's the amount of interest on funds advanced. It's the same idea, okay? So this is, and then you look at the answers, and you see how they all in percentages. I don't know if you noticed, but we only have 2 types of percentage questions. The first one is the simple ones, the one we finished the last class. There were all different types of it, and there's only 1-step solution. That's why I call them simple. And then you have PP questions. PP questions have 4 steps in them, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. But then the answers are still in percentages. So when you see the answers are in percentages, and you see there's a lot of information stuff, and you see there's fees in there, definitely PP question. Don't even question it, right? It's so simple. Okay. So if it's a PP question, you're going to put that PIPI formula in front of you. Right? You're going to follow that. It's going to be thicker. Okay, so you're going to follow that PIPI formula. You're going to draw this on a piece of paper. So payments, the timeline, the PV, and the IYR. Right? So that's what you want to do. And then we're going to go through the question. So even though in this question, the payment is given to you. Okay? People ask me, do I have to find my own payment still? It's given to me. I can just take it. I say, yes, you can. You can use everything that's given to you easily. You can put that outstanding balance into the future value. You can put payment in here. You can do all of it. The problem is if you don't follow the formula, they might catch you. They might catch you in one of the steps, and that's where I would prefer if you follow step by step. If you just follow this formula and go step by step, then they cannot catch you, okay? So honestly, that will take you maybe a minute to do, maybe less than that. So it doesn't take that much time to go through the full formula. So I would prefer if you just spread them by steps and work on those steps. Now, if it's a 1-step solution, so that means you take all the information, you plug it all in here, and then you press one button, and that gives you the answer. This is what we've done in class 1, 2, and 3, okay? This is a math class number 4. In this class, we have multiple steps. And when you have multiple steps, this is where you have to spread that information. So for example, they give you an outstanding balance off. And you said, that should be my future value, isn't it? I said, yes, but that's in step number 2, not in step number 1. Okay? So basically, when you have multiple steps and you have that outstanding balance that's given to you, just know that when you do your nuggets and fries, that outstanding balance will show up in here. It's not going to be in step 1 when you're trying to find your payment. So in the beginning, when we've done those questions, just remember we did one solution. We press one button and we were done with the question. Okay? In questions that have more steps, you have to spread that information. Okay? Back to the question. So we have a face value of 50,000. So that's going to be your present value. Bank says we'll give you 50,000. At GT equals 10.75. So how does that 3.4 works? You take 3 divided by 4. A lot of people ask the same question. So you take 3 divided by 4 plus 10, right? So it comes up as 10.75, compounded G2 semi-annually for 20 years amortization, 5 years term. So I'll put the term straight up on the step number 2 because I know that's what we're going to be doing the terms in there. Okay. So I'm going to put it in. Oops, sorry. I'll put it in there. So 5 years term. And what else do we have in here? Then we have a payments on the outstanding balance. So I don't want you to put payments in here. And I don't want you to put the outstanding balance in here. I want you to find your own payment, okay? And when you're looking for the payments, your future value has to be 0, okay? The only time future value is not 0 is when it's interest-only mortgage, when your present value is the same thing as a future value. But when we have multiple steps, remember, when I'm looking for the payments, my future value is always 0, okay? So I'm putting 0 into the future value, and I'll use that outstanding balance in my step number 2 when I get there, okay? But when I'm looking for the payments, future value is 0, okay? 20 shift N. So let's do this. Payments are monthly of $499.76. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find my own payment, and my payment will match up to the payment that's given to me inside of the question. Watch it. It's going to show up exactly the same as what we have. So let's find the payment first. So let's start with the comfort zone. Let's start with our J's. They're not matching. Make sure that you do your conversion. Your conversion should come up nice and close to what the original number is. So don't write it down anymore. I'm still going to do that for you, but you don't do that. Okay. So 10.75 shift nom, 2 shift PYR shift effective, 12 shift PYR shift nom. Okay. It comes up to 10.5168 something, right? So you got the impact, right? 10.516. What do you do after this? You're going to cross off your PYR and IYR. You know that your PYR is sitting at 12, so everything will be monthly. So if you 20 shift N, it will come up as 240 months, okay? PV is 50,000. PV, 0 plus minus, future value, plus the payment. The payment will come up to the same payment as given to you inside of the question, right? Isn't it? But yours came up as a negative what? What did you get? 499.75 is not what you got. And the rule is if you say nothing, you would bump it up to the next highest cent. Now that payment is the next highest cent. Do you see that? So you would do the same thing. You would take that payment, whatever you found, you would bump it up to the next highest cent. So finish this step 1. When I say finish it, that means I expect you to overwrite it with the new information. So put 499.76 plus minus PMT. So put that payment back in with the next highest cent. 76 plus minus PMT. Okay. So my payment is in. It's with the next highest cent. It's sitting as a negative number in my PMT button. Step number 2. If the outstanding balance is given to you, like in this question, or the term is given to you, which is in this question, this is where you have to find that outstanding balance. So just because they say there's an outstanding balance of this much, look what will happen. We have the term. And if you have the term, you can find your own outstanding balance, and your outstanding balance will be matching to the same number as what's given to you inside of the question. Okay, so let's try that right now. So we're going to do 5 shift N. Okay, so 5 shift N. You got 60. And then you press future value, and the future value come up. Watch it. It's going to be the same as what's given to you, 167. So 45, 167, 50. Okay? Do you see that? It's exactly the same as what's given to you. Isn't that beautiful? So just because they give you extra information in the question, I would prefer if you just follow the formula step by step, and you'll get to the same information what's given to you. So that's going to be like a checkpoints for you. Just make sure that you're doing a good job. Okay? So step 2 is finished. You have the outstanding balance. Step 1, you found your payment. Step number 3, what are we looking for? They say, what's the cost of funds advance? So we're looking for the borrower statements and say, okay, so how much did he get from the bank without the fees? So 50,000 was the face value, then the fee was $2,000, the broker fee. So the actual amount that he got was 48,000. So it's given to you in the question. Okay, do your math, right? 50,000 minus 2,000. So what is this next step? What do? You're gonna add that to your calculator. So you're gonna put 48,000, and then you're gonna press PV. Make sure that you actually press that button. 48,000 PV, because it's your job to override the old PV with the new PV. And only after you've done this is when you press the IYR. You press the IYR to see, so how much is his rate? What has he got at the end? What is he actually paying to the bank? Because the bank said, oh, you're going to pay us 10.75, but we already know as a J12, okay, as a J12, he's already paying 1161. So way higher than what they're being promised, okay? But is that what they're looking for? They want the effective annual rate, so they want it in J1. So what is your next job? What are you going to do if it's J1? You're going to press shift, effective, and what is effective does? It converts things to J1. So press shift effective, okay? And it will come up as 12.25. Crazy, right? So much higher than the J12. So it should be option number 1, okay? So that is your J1. So if it's an effective, that's your J1, okay? Every time you want to convert something to J1, shift effective, okay? How's it so far? You should start liking them. Question 8. Mortgage broker is getting the fully amortized mortgage loan with a face value of $240,000. The loan contract will be written at 8% compounded semi-annually. The repayment of the loan is to take place over 15 years with the monthly payments, and the borrower is to receive $228,000 as a result of the commissions of $8,000, survey fees of $2,000, appraisal fees of $600, legal fees of $1,000, all of which will be deducted from the face value. The calculated cost of funds advanced to the borrower. Okay, I read it really fast, but it's the same question as all the other ones. Right? Calculated cost of funds advanced. There's a lot of fees. You saw all those commissions in there. I had a lot of fees in here, so you definitely know that is your PP question. If it's a PP question, what is your job? You want to make sure that you find your payment. If you can find it by yourself, find it by yourself. Always do. And then if they give you a lot of extra information, ignore it and spread it through the steps. So let's pull up and see what we have in here. We have a face value of 240, and then we have 228,004. Which one is the present value? Okay, always the face value. Face value is always your PV. So you're gonna put 240,000 in there as a PV. Good job. Next one, 8% compounded semi-annually, so J2 equals 8. 15 years with the monthly payments, so 15 shift N will come up as 180. Payments are monthly. And then we have all the fees in there. And then they tell me the borrower is to receive 228,000 as a result of all the fees. So they basically did the math for me. They minus all the fees for me out of that 240. So I know this is going to be my step number 3 PV. Right? So I can just put it safely in there. 228,400. It's basically they've done all the calculation. They minus them all out of the face value. So I know that's going to be my clean money. Right? The money without the fees. And what else? And what are they looking for? They still want the J1. They want it effective. So J1 is what they're looking for at the end. Okay? So let's find the payment. We're going to find the payment as usual. We're going to put 0 into the future value when we're looking for that payment, because that's your step number 1. So let's start with the comfort zone. Let's do the NPEPN. See how much it comes up to. Don't write it down anymore. Do it on your calculator only. So 8 shift NOM, 2 shift PYR shift effective, 12 shift PYR shift NOM comes up to 7.869. Okay? So that's the NPEPN. That's what you got in there. So far, we can cross off PYR because we know PYR will be 12 now, right? Because everything is monthly. Finish the N, 15 years, so 15 shift N comes up as 180, 240,000 PV, 0 plus minus future value, and only after you finish it, press PMT to see how much your payment came up to. Mine came up as a negative 2,275.56. Okay, so that's my payment. That's what I got in here. What do we do now? Okay, if they say nothing about the payments, because all they say is with monthly payments, and they don't specify, your job is to take that payment and always bump it up to the next higher step. Okay, so it's not on a paper, it's on your calculator. Manually plug it back in. So you're going to put 2275.57. Right? So plus minus PMT. Make sure that you increase it to the next highest and plug it back in. So 2275.57 plus minus PMT. Okay, so next highest cent, please. So plug it in. So step 1 is done only when you see that on top of your screen, when it's negative, and when the next highest cent. So 57 should be on your screen right now. Step number 2. Let's look at the question and see, do we have the term in this question? Because all I see here, it says take place over 15 years with the monthly payments. Do you see that? I don't see any term anywhere inside of the question. So if the term is not given to you, you still have to do nuggets and fries. And that's the beauty of it. So if the term is not given to you, guess what you do with step number 2? You skip it. Cross it off. So if there's no term, you skip step number 2. Okay? If there is a term, then you do something here. You do nuggets and fries. In this case, there's nothing. It's only 15 years amortization, and that's it. So we skip in step number 2. We're going straight up to step number 3. And they want us to put the clean money in. So net value without any fees in it. In the question that was already given to us is 228,004. So your job is manually overwrite it back on top of your old PV. So we don't want to see this 240 anymore. We want to see the new one. So put 228,400 PV. Okay, make sure all the zeros come up in the end, and only after you finish it, press UIYR. So press your interest rate, and we'll come up to 8.6979. Okay, so that's what you got. So this is UIYR. So my question, what's this? That is a J12 because PYR was monthly. Remember that one? But they want it in J1. So you know what to do now, right? So you press Shift, Effective, and Effective converts it to J1. So Shift Effective, and you should get 905 as the answer. Okay, so this is your J1. So that should be the answer at the end. How's it so far? You should start liking those ones now, okay? This should be amazing questions for the exams. We like PPs. We like PPs and pimps. You know, the good stuff. Okay, next one. Question number 9. The local mortgage broker gets the mortgage of the amount of $210,000. The borrower has agreed to pay a mortgage fee of $7,200, which will be added to the loan amount given a face value of $217,200 of the loan. Can you put a star next to this question? We see this question a lot on the exam. They like this one. There's something specific in this question that you haven't seen before. Okay? So the mortgage broker fee of $7,200, that gives you a face value of $217,200. The mortgage bears the interest rate contract rate of 17.75 per annum compounded semi-annually, and the mortgage has the amortization period of the term and the term of 20 years. Did you notice how they say the amortization period and the term? We'll come back to this. Holds for the monthly payments, rounded up to the next highest cent, and if the mortgage is to be sold to the investor for $225,000 immediately after the loan is initiated, the investor will earn the following nominal rate with the semi-annual compounding. Okay. First of all, how do you know if it's a PP question? Do you have anything in this question that shows you that will be a PP question? What do you think? Yes, you do, because you have some fees in there, and then you have all the answers are in percentages. Is that true? So that's kind of indication that it's not a plain, simple yield question. It's a PP yield, a PP question, because it has those percentages as the answers and it has the fees inside. And plus it has a lot of extra stuff inside of the question. My next question, have you seen anything new? Did you read anything new in this question? Something that we've never mentioned before? Do they referring to the cost of funds advance in here? Do they say anything like that? They're talking about something else. And that something else is this. They say the mortgage is to be sold to the investor. Do you see that word investor? This is new. We haven't seen that before. So now, instead of keeping the mortgage, you selling that mortgage to the investor and says, look, you want to buy it off? You can buy it for more money if you want. It's a good mortgage. It's a great interest rate of 17%, but you're selling it. And now the question is not about the borrower. The question is about the investor. And it says, so what will investor will earn? So they say, what does the investor will earn with a semi-annual compounding? So they're looking for that investor's money now, okay? And see how much is investor going to make on that investment. Same idea, same question, just a little bit new stuff in there. So that's why I say put the star next to this question, because that's why they like it. First question, because it's a PP question, we're still going to follow our steps. Step one is to find the payment. So my first question to you, what out of all of those numbers, we have, let's highlight them. We have 210, we have 217, we have 225. Out of all those three numbers, which one are you going to put as your PV? I want to know. I don't know what we put in there. Your present value, okay? Just because the mortgages are arranged for 210, is that something we're going to use? The fees were added on top of it. So the face value is 217. Do you see that word face value? You see face value is a face value. It can be changed. So your PV is your face value, okay? So put that 217 as your PV. And 200, make sure you don't forget about that 200. So that's your present value, okay? But my next question to you, in step number 3, whose money are we going to be using now? If that was just a regular question without the investor, then you would put that 210,000, right? Because that's your net clean money without any fees in it. You would put that 210 in here. But because it was sold to the investor, so this is the only change that you have in this question, that you in step number 3, you're not putting the clean money anymore. You put in the investor's money instead. So you're going to put that 225,000 as your PV now. Do you see that? So that's the only difference in here. So you would put the investor's money as a new PV. So 225,000 PV will go into step number 3 because it's about the investor's interest rate, not about the borrower's. Okay, that's it. Everything else is the same. So we're going to find the payment first, as usual. We're going to assume future value is 0 because we have multiple steps. We're going to look at the question and see what we have in here for the years and the rate. So 17.75 compounded semi-annually. 7.5 compounded semi-annually. Payments are monthly, and it's for 20 years amortization. Okay, we'll come up as 240 months. Okay, so let's do this. Let's start with your initial box, your comfort zone, right? So we're going to do this first. So 17.75 shift nom, 2 shift PYR shift effective, 12 shift PYR shift nom, 17.12, that's what I got. 17.12, 7.1, okay? So I got 17.12. Nice and close, not too far. So after you finish this, what do you do? You're going to cross off your IYR, PYR. You understand that PYR right now is monthly, so everything will be per month now. So finish the N, okay? 20 years, shift N, 240. PV is 217, 200. Make sure that you don't forget that 200 on your calculator. Okay, PV, okay, 200 in there. 0 plus minus future value. And then you press the payment. So tell me how much the payment came up to. Mine came up to negative 3206.90. That's what I got. Okay, so I got 3206.90. Right? So that's the payment. So they say nothing about the payments. They say for the monthly payments, oh, they actually say round it up to the next highest cent. So even if they did not say that highest cent, we would still round it up to the next highest cent. So let's increase it. Let's plug it back in with the next highest cent. So finish the step number 1. So on top of your screen right now, you're going to put 3206 point, what's the next highest cent? 91. So it should be 3206.91 plus minus PMT. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. 3206.91 plus minus PMT. Okay, so my payment is increased. My payment is negative. Lots of zeros come up in the end, and my last cent is 1. Okay, step 1 is finished. Step number 2. Let's go back in the question. What are they saying here? So they say that the term, let me just highlight that for you, that the term and the amortization, okay, will be the 20 years. So they're telling you that your amortization, for how long you took the money for, will be exactly the same as your term. Now, that's called the fully amortized mortgages. In British Columbia, we don't have those. Nobody's going to give you that rate and fix it all the way for 20 years. In the United States, they still do that, but not here. They don't give you that interest rate and fix it for that long. But in this question, that's what they're saying to you. They're saying that it will be exactly the same. So if the term, so if I draw the line in here, actually I'm going to draw it on this side. So if the term and amortization is the same number, so 20 years amortization and the term, so both of them are the same, do we have any outstanding balance? So if you're paying them, that means you're stuck in a contract with them for 20 years, okay? So do you have anything to refinance? Nothing. The line is clean. There's no term in here. So when the term and amortization is the same number, you treat it as the line is clean. There's nothing to do in here. And for that reason, can you skip the step number 2? Yes, you can. That's exactly what you're going to do in this step because it's fully amortized. If the term and amortization is the same number, there's nothing for you to do on the timeline. So step 2, skip it. Okay? So after you found the payment, then you move on to step number 3. And because the question talks about the investor who bought it from you for $225 and what's his yield on his money, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to put $225,000 as a new PV. So press $225,000 and then press PV. Make sure you press that PV. If you don't press PV, it's not going to go into that button. Okay? So $225,000 PV. Plug it in. And after you finish this, you press the IVR. What do we press this IVR for? Because we're looking for his rate. And when you press the IVR, it will come up to 16.4522. Okay, did you get that? What's this? That is your J12 because PVR was at 12, your payments was 12, so that is your J12. Okay, is that what they want? Or they want something else? What do they want in this question? They want a nominal rate. Remember the word nominal? It's a big number, so that means full rate for the whole year, interest per year, with the semi-annual compounding. So they want it as a J2. So what they're looking for is the J2. And what do we have right now? We have J12. So right now we have a J12 equals, this is what we have, 16, okay? And they want a J2. So how do you convert it? What if I ask you to convert it to J1? What would you do? You would just press shift effective, right? That's all you would do. What if I ask you to convert it to J2, then you would still press the shift effective. So think of it this way. You still have to press those 3 steps at the end, okay? You still have to press those 3 steps in the end to convert it to what you want. But you're not pressing the knob on the PVR. Why? Because you already have this 6.45 sits in here, and you already have this 12. That 12 sits in your PVR. So basically, you skip in the first 2 steps, and if I ask you to convert to J1, you simply press shift effective. If I want you to convert it to J2, what do? You press shift effective, and then what do? And then you press 2, okay? 2 shift PVR, and then you press shift knob. So do half of that in PEPN. We call it the EPN formula, okay? So press shift effective to convert it to J1. So right now I see 17, just to kind of guide you, 17.7513, right? So that's what I got as a J1. Then you press 2 shift PVR, okay? It comes up as 2 on your screen. Press shift knob, and that comes up as 1702.656, right? So this is what I got. So 1702. And that is your J2 because your PVR was 2. So let's do this again. What if I ask you to come back to J12? What would you do? Look what you're going to do. You're going to press shift effective. Do that right now. Shift effective. It came back to that 17.75. Now, instead of 2, I want you to convert it to monthly. So what do? You put 12 right down here. So press 12, shift PVR, and then press shift knob. Okay? And you should come back again to that 16.45. Okay? Makes sense? What if I ask you to J4? What would you do? You press shift effective. Do that right now. Shift effective. You came back to that 17.75. Now, instead of 2, put 4. So 4 shift PVR, shift knob. And mine came up to 16.67. Okay? So you can go back and forth, back and forth. So go back to J2. What do? You press shift effective. And now what do? You press 2 shift PVR, and then press shift knob, and you should come back to 17.02 again. That's it. So basically, whatever they're looking for, it doesn't matter. Find what you have first in the frequency that's given to you, and then convert it. Always press shift effective to get to J1, and then change your PVR if you want something else. So the answer should be option number 1. It should be that 1702 something, right? So option number 1. So that's why they like this question, okay? We're going to do one more just like this one. Try to do this one by yourself. It's pretty much the same question, just different numbers in here. Mortgage of $210,000, borrower agrees to pay the mortgage fee of $7,200. Face value comes out to $217,200. The rate is 4.5 per annum compounded semi-annually. The mortgage has amortization and the term for 20 monthly payments. Sold to the investor for $225,000. And what is a semi-annual compounding for the investor? Hey, same idea, same everything. So what are you going to do? I'll be quietly working here on this question. You can join me, or you can try to do this by yourself. That would be great. So the rate is 4.5 compounded semi-annually.